So one of the most common questions I get is, do I have any advice for beginners, people who are starting out painting? And I'm assuming you have sort of the basics down, um, and maybe you're up and running, but you want to see some improvement. And so I would say, I mean, this is obvious, but it's really the most important thing. I think it's more important than taking workshops. It's more important than reading books, anything. The most important thing is to paint as much as you can. If you can commit to one painting a day, even if it's small, and even if you give yourself just 30 minutes, I find that there's no comparison, because even if you're doing small paintings, like I participated in sort of the daily painting sort of thing for a while there back, I don't know, it was a while ago, but I did a painting a day, a 6x6 painting a day, and posted it on a blog. I did that for about 6 months. I continued afterwards, but during that 6-month period, I feel like I transitioned from sort of an amateur painter to more towards a professional painter. Part of that was during that 6-month period, I actually was posting and I was making my paintings available for sale, and I ended up selling quite a few paintings, which that reinforces your, it sort of inspires you to keep going. So paint as much as you can, and even if it's small, that's okay, because I know a lot of people, like I didn't have a lot of time. And I think painting fast is actually, it's a good thing. I still try to paint fast, because then you don't overthink things. You just kind of go for it. Paintings have maybe a more fresh look to them. So anyway, even if you've got a short amount of time that you can dedicate to painting, still just try to do something every day or as many times a week as you can, because that is number one, the best way to improve. And number two, I would say, learn to self-educate. So I didn't go to school. I didn't have any training, but I had a musical background, and I played in bands growing up as a kid, and I had very little musical training. So when I was a kid growing up, everyone would like all the friends I had who were musicians would listen to records, figure it out, figure out the songs, and that's how they would learn to play. After they got the basics down, like say having, the ability to sort of know the basic chords. So you just pretty much toughed it out, just listening to records and trying to figure out what they were playing. So you're sort of reverse engineering in a way. You're taking a finished product and trying to figure out what went into that, how it was created. So when when I was 38, when I decided to paint, that experience was really helpful. I had already sort of gone through the self-education of learning how to play an instrument. So I had the confidence to know that if I was to look at paintings really carefully, that I could hopefully figure out, and then also have a basic understanding of how paint works. You got to learn the sort of procedures, which you can learn that very quickly through any book. It's not that complicated. But then the question becomes, how do you get better? How do you actually make good paintings? So self-education, looking at paintings, analyzing them, finding paintings you like, and trying to decide what it is about those paintings that actually speaks to you, and then you can emulate those qualities or figure out how to achieve those through experimentation. So so far we've got paint as much as you can. Number two would be learn to self-educate. The other thing about self-education is that as you get better as a painter, you need to figure out your own identity. And that leads to number three, be yourself. Be yourself. You can look at other work and you can emulate other work, but at a certain point, it's always going to look like your work anyway. Even if you're emulating somebody, it'll tend to look like, it's going to look like you. It's going to have your stamp on it. But at a certain point, I found with myself that you get a certain amount of skill, and you can sort of replicate other painters' work. So further on down the line, I stopped looking at other people's work, and I just started looking at the world, and I would take pictures, or I would go out and paint on location. And it was very important for me to determine what, without other influences, they were all in there because I'd seen tons of paintings, but I did not want that to affect my own sort of voice, trying to find my own voice in who I am. And if you've looked at my work, it's sort of all over the map, and it's going to continue to be that way, because that's what's exciting for me, is trying to figure out who I am as a painter and what I want to represent and what touches me in this world. So number 3, be yourself. Pay careful attention to the things that move you when you're just walking around. Everybody's got a phone. Take some pictures. Start developing that sort of sense of what it is that moves you and touches you and that you want to represent. And then finally, I would say, show your work wherever. So when I first started, I remember having this idea that I needed to get in great galleries, and that was somehow going to, make things happen for me. But at some point, I realized that, maybe I'll just look at what opportunities are actually here right now. So I had some opportunities to, one was to show in a church. And it was like a solo show, but it was like in this hallway. I went in there, it was like completely dark. There's like a few fluorescent lights, but I put like, I think 30 paintings in there. And afterwards, when I look back at it, I did sell a couple of paintings, but the thing that was most important about doing these, and I did another church show the next year. I tried to do a library show. I couldn't get into the library. But whether it's a coffee shop or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's like, get your work out there somewhere. And here's the thing, here's the benefit. When you put your stuff, like when you put together a show, okay, so these church shows I did, even though they were like kind of really low key, there was nothing, nothing happened, there was no reception, who even knows how many people saw the work. I got very little feedback. But what was great about was I put together the show. It was a tremendous amount of work. I'd frame everything, I had to put little labels, and then I had to hang it too. So I went through the whole process of like putting the show together and putting it on the walls, okay? And in some ways, it's great if nobody's going to watch your first efforts. Once it was up, I have to admit, I was like, wow, it looks really good. It was really cool to see all my work in one place like that. But so I wished people could see it. And that happened for several different sort of shows like that, low-key shows that I did. But when I finally got a gallery solo show, I was ready. I knew how I'd done it already. I'd already gone through the process of taking those paintings and bringing them to finish, framing them, labeling them, photographing them, and being organized and everything. So the transition to doing a gallery show, a solo show, was not so difficult because I had that experience. So whatever opportunity you have, take advantage of that opportunity. That's the most important thing. So yeah, we've got paint as much as you can, learn to self-educate. There's one other thing I'll say. Hopefully my video camera will keep going here, my phone will keep going. But there's another component to this that I think a lot of people worry about, and that's like the psychology of it. Like, do I have talent? Am I talented? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because there are so many different components to becoming a good painter. And I don't think anyone can be talented in every particular area. For example, for me, drawing came somewhat easier, easier than, say, color sense and mixing color. But there's a lot of it that's art is about who you are. And I believe everybody has something to offer. I don't believe that if you put in the time, that's the key thing. If you put in the time, you will find something that is uniquely your own. And if you do something that you actually like, if you paint a painting, you say, I like this painting, there are going to be other people that are going to like that painting too. And you've got to have faith in that. So talent, who cares? Doesn't matter. Non-issue. It's the people who work the hardest that are going to have the most results, period. That's it. also too, I remember when I first started having this sort of, I was doing some plein air painting. I was working 3 days a week as an electrician, and I was doing some carpentry. And so I had 2 days a week to get outside and actually paint on location. And I would spend a lot of time just driving around and feeling like I couldn't find anything that was interesting. I felt like I was wasting time. And I felt guilty, like, all these people because like I said, I was almost 40 at the time, and I thought, what the hell am I doing? Driving around out here, especially on a day where I drive around for a couple hours and go home and do no painting. That was like, and that would happen like several times. Not several times, it happened all the time. And it was very frustrating and also very discouraging. Then I started taking a lot of pictures, bringing them home, and found that that was maybe a more efficient way to sort of improve by putting them on the computer and then sort of cropping them, and then taking the ones that I liked and putting them in a file that was, paintings, potential paintings file. That really helped. So then when I would go back to locations, I would be able to, have a better idea how I would approach a certain location. But anyway, so the psychology, this feeling of wasting time, and that, this is, what am I doing? I'm glad that I stuck with it, because now that's how I make my living. And I'm much happier as a painter than I would have been if I was, my age now and still crawling under houses and through attics as an electrician. Okay, and then the other thing is understanding, the other psychological thing that's difficult is failure. And the most important thing to realize about that is failure is normal and healthy. So like, I still fail, my paintings still fail, Now, when you get better at it, your painting that you feel like is a failure, other people may still like, and that's cool, but ultimately you're trying to impress yourself. I mean, that's what I'm in this for. Is the most exciting part is to do a painting where I feel like I've outdone what I've done before, or I've touched something, or something special has happened. That's what I'm after in paintings. So a lot of my paintings fail. And at first that was really frustrating and discouraging, but now I do just accept that that is a part of the process. It makes you grow. The things that don't work out, there's probably, I know there's a quote about that you learn more from your failures. So true. So take chances, experiment, fail, and then analyze and look at the paintings and say, why did this fail, or what do I not like about this? But if you're painting a lot and you're failing a lot, that's normal, because especially in the beginning, I would think maybe when I was starting out, I maybe had like 1 in 10 paintings had something, 1 in 10 paintings I liked, and then the odds keep getting better. But I mean, still now, depending on the week, it might be 50-50 or even less, and for the ones that I really love, I mean, it might be 1 in 20, I don't know. So anyway, so that's why painting a lot is really good, is that it's a numbers thing. The more you do, the better chance you are going to have, of painting some good painting. So paint as much as you can, learn to self-educate, try to be, in control of the psychological part. Don't worry about whether you have talent. Don't worry that you're wasting time. Your time is well spent, even if you are failing. Do not let that get to you. Try to be yourself, and then show your work wherever you can. And if you don't have any like real life places, which, even if it's anywhere, it doesn't matter. You should definitely try to put together a show, frame your work, and get it up on the wall somewhere, anywhere. But in the meantime, if you can't do that, just put it on Instagram. Put it on Instagram, or I'd say that's probably, or Facebook or something. Probably Instagram is probably the best place for that. And you'll start getting feedback, and also, it's good just to see your work. I use Instagram as a way to, I post it on there, and I can scroll through and see all my paintings and get a sort of a sense of where I'm going or where I want to go, which paintings work. It's sort of like having a little photo album right in your hand of all your paintings. So I use it. When I first started, I was primarily using Instagram as to kind of help organize my own thoughts about my own work. So I'm going to cut this off because I could keep going. But anyway, if you want to see examples of my work, you can go to my website, which is chamberlainpaintings.com. If you'd like to see, also, you could follow me on Instagram at Chamberlain Paintings. There's a link in my YouTube profile for that, for both of those. But anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it, whatever. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.